Right. Right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Wednesday webinar. I'm going to be the host for tonight. Tonight, we thought we'd do a training on personal development. I said we collectively, that's Jane and I. But I'm hoping on our Project Clean Sweep Zoom that more of you will be joining in, doing trainings. I'm open to that. I know Jeff's working on one. But tonight we were speaking about personal development, as you do. And it is a very good topic for leaders, which everybody who's on the Zooms at the moment and we expected to would be on tonight are leaders. So as we've discussed before, it can be quite hard to do trainings for people who are leaders. But I personally think that Jane, she'll hate me saying this, she does really the most excellent personal development trainings, but she's also going to let us talk as well, but I've got to be quiet. But I'm the host, so first of all, can I just find out how everybody is, because I forgot to say hi. So hi, Nigel and Amanda. I like your fleece. I like the fleece. He's on mute again.
Sorry, I was on mute.
How are you?
We're good.
I'm fantastic.
Loving
Yeah, I had this come today. It's so cuddly.
I want one. My big sister got me one for Christmas, but it's so long it trips me up. She said you'll need to cut it because I had to cut mine.
Tom will dry it.
These don't come too long, so they're all
Not
right.
Perfect size. So glad you're good. And we're now going to go into Joanne. Not that I'm favoritizing people who are wearing the company products or anything. I'm ashamed. I've got my $7.99 TK Maxx sweatshirt on that I love the colours of. How are you, Joanne?
I'm okay, thank you.
I know you're busy and I know you're packing your catalogues as we go.
I'll put myself on mute in a minute because I've got to start stamping.
I know.
All the forms. You don't need that on the recording.
Yes, and well, we do. There's nothing wrong with stamping and packing your catalogues on the recording. I think that's quite positive. Thank you for joining us. I know how busy you are. And Jeff, you've got a cup of tea. What's on it? Cars?
Land Rovers.
You like Land Rovers?
I used to have one, an ex-army one, which would go anywhere.
I actually really like them. I'm a country girl at heart.
Yeah. One like that I had.
Yeah.
An ex-army.
my uncle had one like that, but didn't have the army bits on it.
Yeah. It was ex-army. It was a soft top, so you could take the roof off in the summer.
I love it. See, if you ask random questions, it's amazing what you find out. How are you, Jeff?
I'm very well. I'm a bit sleepy, but I'm already over. I've already qualified as VIP. I've had my £800. I wasn't sure I'd make it, but
well done.
The wonderful customer that I was given gave me another £100 order, so that put me in, and I'm about £35 short of star 1000. So I'm just waiting to the end of the period to see if my team put any orders in, and if not, I'll find £35 worth of orders.
Well, for a week we've got a whole week.
Yeah.
Post a couple of products. She's going like that, get the fleece. We're all going to be getting the fleece now. The fleece is out of stock. We will take responsibility for that on our Zoom. Because I'm definitely wanting one, but I'm torn. I've got a customer who's bought the tartan one, the blue tartan one that Joanne's wearing. But I like the colours, the lighter, prettier. I prefer lighter colours. So I'm torn between that and the one that you're wearing. Might need to get both. Actually, the light coloured one doesn't show dog hair. Right, Raymond, how are you?
Right, thank you.
How's your week been?
Been okay. Just messing around on the narrowboat.
You've been out in your narrowboat. I never seen the videos. I usually get your notification. Oh, I know why. you've had a problem with Facebook, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You should speak to Jane, maybe not on the Zoom, but Jane had the same problem and resolved it. So what I'll do actually, Jane, maybe you can tell me how you resolved it. We'll not do it in tonight's Zoom. But I've just
It's
realised-
gone past resolving, I think.
No, Jane thought that as well. It's happened before more than once. So, and then we never give up, Raymond. We never give up. So, Jane, will you maybe send me a wee message? Kate, I know you can maybe only just give me the thumbs up or wave. How are you? God almighty, I mean, she must be the, I couldn't do it, guys. You know how much I talk. I would be like, oh my God, I need to be able to talk. But it's great to see you. Whoever missed, Urbi Jane, not deliberate, because Urbi Jane's going to be doing the training. So I don't think I've made you host yet, Jane.
I made myself host.
You took it back, did you?
I reclaimed it.
How did you do that? Right, so now
I had a
even
wee look.
without even me allowing her to be host, I'm giving the floor to Jane. And I'm
Thank you.
going to mute myself.
Sorry, what I'll do just now is just work my way through this and hope it all sorts for me. Okie-doke. And yes, and Kate, I will give you advance warning. I know you can't talk, but I'm hoping, yes, the chat comes up. So what you can do is, when I mention things and you want to say something, pop it in the chat, type as fast as you can, and I'll read it out. Sorted. There we go. So personal development. And the reason that I did the slides, because flipping heck. Right. The reason I did the slides is quite simply because I don't have the same recall as I used to have. I will freely admit that. So therefore, if I put it in a slide, then I realise it's there. And if there's something I want to say about it, I can find it. Having said that, because there are slides up, it does not mean that you should not join in, because it's much better if we all join in, or maybe have a different view. So I did this rather quickly, and I'm sorry about that, because I have yoga tonight. So I have been bending in a way that you wouldn't think the body naturally bends. However, so do people describe you in a way that you don't recognise or don't want to recognise? Maybe it's just my family. But sometimes, you know, they throw those things out and you think, gosh, I didn't think I was like that. So do you listen when somebody's having a rant at you? And they do. Maybe everyone else's family is a wee bit more polite than mine. Or maybe I just give them license where I shouldn't have done. But, you know, have a wee think about it. And sometimes, though, if you have a very polite family and you don't hear the rant, when you're reading books, regardless of what book it is, the way in which the character or the scenario in the book pans out, you might stop and think, I wouldn't have dealt with it like that. Or, oh, I would have done. Which is maybe not entirely wrong, but it's maybe not entirely right either. It just gives us another way. Because there are millions of people in the world, thousands of people in the UK, and we're not all the same. There are very few of us exactly alike. So sometimes when we're reading those books, just those simple things can show us how to make a change and deal with it in a different way, a less confrontational way sometimes, although sometimes confrontation is acceptable and stops others in their track. but you need to be able to know yourself first. And that can be a very strong way of looking at things. It's you know, to look and identify yourself, and as Rabbi Burns said, see yourselves as others sees us. So it's been around for a long time, this, but it does give us a better way of how we like to communicate with others, but more importantly, how others need to communicate with us. Jim always says that I look at things differently from other people. And yes, I have to agree with him, but I look at him and think, but what I'm doing is quite logical. And I think he's out of step. But there again, if there's 3 of you in the house, or maybe 4 of you in the house, and the others that's not you say, I wouldn't have done that, Mum. Why did you do it? And you think, oh gosh, maybe I. And you know, you do get to a stage where you think, oh well, stuff it. But when we're building a business, you can't say stuff it. It's so important that people don't take umbrage with what you've said. The reason it's so important is we bring them into the business to teach them how to make money. Now, if someone makes money and leaves, I don't ever feel a failure. If someone doesn't make money and leaves, then it does. It makes me feel that I've failed in my role. And listen and silent, same letters, different order. And 2 ears, 1 mouth, we've all heard those statements. And we just don't always apply them. So how do we find the information? Well, we all know that to go through those books, I like to read first before I listen to an audio, because I find that I can go back over certain passages that maybe I haven't quite understood, or maybe there's a passage 3 pages on that has jarred with me. So I go back in a book where I find the audio doesn't allow me. I don't have the patience to do it. But what I do like, and I did it so often, was once I read Dare to Dream and Work to Win, I got the audio. And unusually at that time, although it's perhaps changed, the audio of that particular book was exactly the same as the written word. So that was so easy to listen to again and again and again. And often, at that time I was working in a job. Our son had not long died. My mum had not long died. So that got me through an awful lot of my head, if you like. So association plays a big part in our lives. Oh, I've done it twice. It's important. Association is important. So be careful just who you associate with, online and offline. There's nothing wrong with deleting or hiding someone that you find great, or just doesn't see life the way you want to see it. As I did, hid them. I couldn't find them again. And I didn't mean to hide them forever, just for a short period of time. So, well, your working environment, or the requirements that you have in your working life, and I know many of us aren't there, but that colours how you are with people. Jim used to say to me, Jane, you're not in the bank. You're speaking to me as though I'm one of your customers. And I was horrified, not because I was speaking to him in that way, but because I didn't want to speak to my customers that way. My customers were a big, big part of my life. And all those targets that people talk about, I achieved them without any difficulty, because I had a good relationship with my customers and they kept me there. But the people you work with will influence your behaviour, often self-preservation, and I did find that in the bank as well, or the need to fit in. And I was not maybe as, and I'm still not wholly confident, but I was probably less confident then, so I needed to fit in, even although I often apologised for being a manager. Do what I've done and you'll get what I've got. And I shouldn't have apologised, but nevertheless, those behaviours will make the way that you respond different. So the books will allow you to see that those behaviours are not your problem, but someone else's. So where do we start? Well, Skills with People is such an easy read. But the very fact it's an easy read, sometimes we read it, we don't digest it, we just read it and we put it down. It's a book you can read in the morning. Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, this is written, even for me, in old language. But there's a lot of modern writers out there that have taken his information and all they've done is regurgitated it. Not always just in one book, but in many books. But it really is an excellent book. And it's got so much information. I identified many of the things that he said, and some people do, and I think, oh, I do that. Oops. Best not do that again. So, you know, it's good. It's good. Dr. Frank Luntz, What's at Work? It's not what you say, it's what people hear. And there's something else. If you're speaking to people, keep it kind of short sentences, short information. Better to do it in 2 messages than one great big long one, because you can bet your bottom dollar if they see a word they don't understand or a sentence they can't get their head around, they do not read past that sentence. They do not read past that word. And we all know it and we all forget it. It's a zoo around here. Well, believe it or not, this is about, or has to do with communication between animals. And it's quite amusing because, you know, often we can identify with the animal behaviour. They're often much, much more intelligent than us, and they don't suffer fools gladly. So, you know, there's a lot we can learn from that. But often to read a diverse number of books is, it just opens your mind. It takes you out that proverbial box. Some of the books have been written 20, 30, 40 years ago. Dale Carnegie is one of them. The information's the same, the phrasing's different. The business will not always be grown by 50, 60 or 70-year-olds. You need the 20, 30 and 40-year-olds to grow the business. They've got more energy than we have. That's what we're looking for. But to do that and to get them to read, even my grandson will often say to me, I'm reading a paragraph, I'm reading a chapter a day. Now I know when he stopped reading the chapter because he rants about something inconsequential. But my favourites are Tom Barrett, Dare to Dream, What to Win, and Let It Happen for You, which was a sequel, Compound Effect. I mean, that's such a simple one and shows such a huge difference. And John C. Maxwell, which is not everybody's favourite, it can be a wee bit serious, but developing the leader within you. But here is audience participation. And this is where I want you to type, Kate, if you would. What's your favourite? And very short, why? So off mute. One moment, off mute. You too, Amanda, did you disappear? And Nigel, you'll both have different books. Who, right, Amanda, I can see you. Do you read? And if so, what book do you like reading?
I don't read, Jane.
Do you not? Do you listen?
Yeah, I'd listen, but I just don't read. I don't seem to take things in if I read. If I write things down, I can remember, but I get lost.
Yeah, okay.
If I read a book, I don't retain it.
Okay. I don't think that's unusual.
Jane, do you mind just stopping the screen share where everybody's doing what you're doing now? And then if you've got more slides, you can open it back up. Just when people are speaking, thanks. So I did put
I no bother.
I put my wee hand up there. Did you
Well,
know?
yeah, I did, and I saw you, and I will come to you. I'll just.
No, it was just for that. It was just for that.
All right. Oh, is that all? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
just for that. What
I don't think, as I was saying to Amanda, though, I don't think it's unusual when you read a book and you don't retain it. It's too much to retain all of it, and that's why. And I think I'll probably say at the end. Sometimes you read a book and you think, did I read that book? Because if you reread it, you read a totally different thing. So don't knock yourself up for that one, Amanda. It's just everybody's like that. What about
why
you,
there's
Nigel?
Audible. It's why there's things like
Yeah.
Audible now. And
Yeah.
I hate, I shouldn't have interrupted, but when I started with Clunies many moons ago, it was videos that we watched. John
That's
Len's
right.
videos, and then I'll give the floor back. But I like to listen and watch. But I have done a lot of reading, but I like to listen and watch.
Yeah, I've listened to quite a few. I've listened to different various audio tapes and things. My favourite one years ago was The Secret. I watched the DVD and I listened to the audio. And that was my favourite at the time. But I haven't listened to a lot. I haven't listened to anything really for a long time.
If you've got an audio of Dare to Dream and Work to Win, honestly, and you know, I used to plug it in the car when I was going to work, coming home from work, and I just left it on, and it lifted me. That's probably the best way of describing it. It lifted me. It lifted me. Can I read Kate's out just for a minute? Coffee Self-Talk by Kristen Helmstetter. Sorry, I wasn't sure how to pronounce that. And Kate says, start with a section on self-esteem. I know this one, Kate. Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. I know that Kate loves that one. I have that one too. I haven't heard of Coffee Self-Talk. I'll have a look at that. And The Compound Effect. That just, yeah, to me that just, are you going to lend me it, Lynn?
Yes.
Yeah, good soul.
Once I've read that, it was a lovely gift for Kate. Thank you very much, Kate.
Oh, that was nice, Kate. Magic of thinking big. That's Raymond. Yes.
He had something in his hand as well earlier.
Oh, did you, Raymond?
I think
Put it up
Raymond
again then, and let everybody see.
I thought he had something in his hand, but maybe he didn't. He was showing us something.
Those two cassettes I bought from
Randy Gage. And what was the
the conference.
questions or the answer? Yeah, yeah.
So I bought these at the conference.
Yeah, good, good. Have you started having a look at them, listen to them rather?
Yeah, I've listened to both of them.
Oh, you've listened to both of them?
Yeah.
Do you have a preference, or did you get different things from different tapes?
The stuff, because I've been in the business so long, the stuff what I already know, but it just reminds you
Mhm.
That's
of
right.
what you know, sort of
That's
thing.
right. Jeff, would you like to tell us
Tell you what,
what you've written up?
I've written Learned Optimism by Martin Seligman.
Okay.
Right.
How to change your mind and your life?
Seligman was or is a distinguished psychiatrist. He was studying psychology, and there were a number of experiments that they would do involving animals. So they would have animals on a floor that would have a charge, and then the animals were supposed to jump over to the barrier where the floor was safe. What he discovered was animals would just sit there, lay there, and do nothing because they had what he called learned helplessness. It's like people who say, I can never do this with computers. It's a learned helplessness. And he discovered, and he coined the term learned helplessness, but learned optimism is how you can learn to change it. There are optimists and pessimists, and optimists learn to change the phrase, and they are the ones who are successful, because if something happens to them, they don't take it personally, it's not permanent, and it's not pervasive. It doesn't cover everything. So, I didn't put my catalogues out today because it rained. As opposed to, I never put my catalogues out in Hull because it's always raining. One means it was a temporary thing and I'll get over it. The other is a permanent thing and I'll never get past it. And it's examples of how he developed this theory and the psychological tests that he went with it. And it's more than just saying a mantra or having positive thinking. It's actually clinically designed and approved and proven that these techniques work. So it's more than just wishing things were better. It's a psychological way of making things better by the self-talk that you have.
Good. That's not one I've heard of, or the individual. I
was going. The reason I put my hand up and I was to ask if you can post these books that are your favourites into the A-team.
Take a photograph of
Because
them.
I like to look at that one, Jeff, and it reminds me of the story of the elephant. The elephant, when it's a baby in the chain, they have a big bit of wood, but as it gets older, it's tied in a chain and it's only tied to a little bit of wood and it could escape any time. But psychologically, because it couldn't escape when it was little, it's conditioned. Another question I'm going to ask, that book that you had, Jane, about the animals, was that the one that you have about the animals, Jeff?
No, that was different. That was
Jeff. Jeff.
The zoo. What was it? Let me see.
I'm asking Jeff.
I'll go back.
That one, Jeff, about the monkeys. Jeff.
I don't know about the monkeys. But yeah, I will post that in the A-team as recommended reading. I'll do that in a moment. Unless Kate's doing it offline, I can just see the top of her nose. So.
Kate also says short podcasts. Now that's not something I'm always terribly good at finding. Oops.
I think
I sometimes come across them more by chance than
tell us in a
design.
And you'll need to type this.
Sorry?
I'm saying Frank told us in a training. I'm pretty sure.
And
what you do is you download an app which Kate can put into.
Oh, that's right.
And then once
I'll try and tell you.
Then you've put person in. There's got to crooks, and you would have to try and crooks.
I'd rather you didn't, if that's okay.
Things have gone a bit quiet for me now. I was desperate to try podcasts and I never knew how to. And Frank took my phone off me one day, sitting in a cafe, and very carefully pointed to the podcast app on the front page of my phone index. And I was listening to a podcast within 2 minutes, and it had been on my phone for years. I just didn't know it was there. So
I don't
investigate
have
your
an
phone and you'll find
iPhone.
them.
Already in some phones, and I
Remember, I don't have an iPhone, folks.
yeah, but then what you would go is go to Google Play, and there it's there.
Ah,
Yes, it's there on
right.
well, Kate. There it's there.
There we are. Every day's a school day.
Every day is a school day, so I probably can't see that, but it is.
Oh, I
there.
can't see it.
And Kate, likewise, it was Frank. And I'll be
It was.
This is dreadful, and this is why this meeting was a great idea. What Jane suggested was throwing this out. As I forgot about the podcast. You know, you come on a Zoom and then you forget.
I know.
Taking notes.
You do.
But for everybody, podcasts.
Free.
If it's an iPhone,
Podcasts are
it'll be
free.
there.
Wait,
If
wait.
it's Samsung, it might be there, or an Android.
I'll have a look later.
Look in Google Play. Back to you, Jane. Sorry, I should have
Yes.
muted myself.
No, I thought Kate was going to say something, and that's
Oh,
why I was
yes, but that's what it was.
She
Frank,
did.
and
silent.
you got something else to say, Kate?
Oh, did you hear me? I lost the sound a minute ago, just as I was. Did you hear me okay?
We heard you okay, yeah, with the
Yeah, that's
podcast.
No, they're free. So I've got lots of them. That you can subscribe to them and you can just listen to them whenever you want. But Darren Hardy's Compound Effect ones are good. Fraser
That's
Brooks
good.
is good. There's some people that do them every, twice a week or once a month or something. But you get to find out what your favourite ones are, and if you don't like them, just listen to something else. And you can backtrack on them as well. So you can start listening to somebody's podcast, but their back catalogue's always there as well. You can go back and get them.
Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you, Kate, for reminding us of that.
I did feel a bit daft.
iPhone is the,
What about it?
and Jane, I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be on an Android as well, but if
Oh,
not,
it will be. And
Google
Jeff also has a message up here saying audio is greatest networker in the world. That is it's a good, I enjoy reading, I must admit, and I find I really do have to read before I can listen
Yeah.
because I lose the plot.
I was driving from Hastings to Eastbourne, so it was about a 40-minute drive when I first started. And on that drive, I would have this playing. So I went through it a number of times, and then I got the book. And because it was written by the author, you had the author's voice in your head doing it. You didn't get your own voice. But generally, I'm a visual, so I much rather prefer to watch something moving or read something. I get bored listening, and at times I lose the sound on the webinar here, and I've just got the stuff I've already read, so I lose concentration because I don't get moving images. I just get distorted sound at times because there's a poor internet connection. So it does trouble my concentration. But yeah, I love The Greatest Networker in the World, and I could pick up the book and read it again. But it's almost imprinted in me.
There's an example, Jeff, of how people differ.
Yeah.
Because when I'm listening in the car, I sometimes listen and forget I'm driving, so I've got to be very careful. So I do have to be very careful, yes.
Yeah.
Joanne, I haven't asked you, only because you're busy, but if you want to pop up.
No, I'm a bit the same. I used to read it in general avidly, sort of up to me, I don't know, late 20s, early 30s, something like that, and I appear to have lost the patience, for want of a better description. I think I just spend so much time dashing about. I never actually slow down long enough to read a book. I really wanted a biography of one of my favourite bands, the lead singer of my favourite bands for Christmas, which Abby got me. And I've read the prologue and reread the prologue about 5 times. It's only about 8 pages long, and I can't I then put it down and go in and kind of like, it's that long when I go back to it, it's like, where was I? And I have to start again. And that's what I'm like with books now. And I don't know why. And it's a shame because I've given not personal development, books in general, I've given loads away to charity and stuff like that. Because I was at Reader's Digest club member. I used to get a book every month, for example, you know, and I don't know what it is. I just cannot sit down with a book anymore. But I did find when we were in Clean Easy, we used to go to Rob and Ray's meetings a lot in Sheffield, and they had a whole massive tools tables there and they got obviously the original author stuff, you know, like Sumo and what have you, but they'd also got a lot of stuff put together by people within the network, and I found that quite on CD. This is, and I'd stick them in the car. So when I'm all going or wherever I was going, putting catalogues out, what have you, to meetings, wherever, it had something like a 6 changes CD in my car, and it was just full, and it would just work its way through them, you know. And I felt I took it on board much more listening to my peers, you know. Rob Forster, it's a shame he doesn't really in the business anymore, I don't think, but he's a brilliant man to listen to. Very engaging, very entertaining. Peter White he probably still is. Peter White spent most of his time on the stage, doesn't he, in Spain and what have you. A proper entertainer, but the information goes in better for me audibly, basically. So, but I mean, the podcast thing, I need to, because when I'm working during the day, I could have headphones on listening to podcasts, to be fair. It would do if the customer's not in, that is. It's a bit rude if the customer is in, but, you know, depending on where I am and what I'm doing. Because I make a lot of short journeys now, and this car's not got a CD player. So, I do need to. I won't be able to read again, Jane. I can't concentrate for long enough.
Well, podcasts
I need to be listening more.
I think it's in the situation probably that you're in, an uplifting podcast would get you through the day. So, can I suggest that maybe that podcast, where to find it if we don't already know, we pop it on the 18th?
Yeah, that's a good idea. No problem.
That's somebody's job, not mine. I'm delegating.
I put my hand up because if you don't mind.
Oh, you did? I didn't think you'd ever taken it down.
No, I do. I lower it. I'm getting good. I'm using reactions and I'm hoping everybody's going to join in because it's quite a good way to put your hand up. And I patiently waited when you took a gap. The reason I wanted to say is I like Joanne and Amanda and Nigel. Well, Amanda said I'm pretty audible. I have read books because it was leaders or readers and you need to read books. And I do say you take it in more if you read the book. I read books about, you know, just normal things like, for instance, Animal Farm, just to pluck one, and then, you know, watch the movies, and the books are always better than the movies. So maybe the books are always better than the podcasts or the audibles. But I listen to a lot of audibles, a lot of videos, everything. It depends on the person, really. But nowadays, everything's available everywhere. We don't have to pay for expensive CDs unless you want something a little bit more extraordinary, like the ones that Raymond got at the weekend. Yep, Jeff.
And the one Jeff has goes up. Something I would have thought that is.
Yeah. I've just put a post onto the 18 group. If one of the admins could approve it, it's question for Wednesday webinar. What's your favourite personal development book? So if someone could approve that.
Yep. Did you put that book? It was your that one that you had that you're going.
I did. That's in my post. So.
Right. Sure.
Okay. Right, well, I'm going to share the screen again, only because. Last. Yeah. Well, wait a minute. And now, somewhere along the lines. Yeah, there we are.
I've got some books. It was the 4th slide.
That's better. Okay. And I think this is what I was meaning, Amanda, as well. All books will bring a different dimension depending on where you are mentally, either in the business or in your life. And I think that is what I was saying. I've often reread a book and wondered if I'd ever read it. But maybe that was because I needed something different from the book the first time I read it than I did later on. And sometimes with a book that I've thoroughly enjoyed and really read maybe a couple of times, but the third time I read it, I didn't enjoy it anymore. I'd obviously moved past it, or I'd absorbed that part of it, used it, and done something else. I don't know. But you know, I would say that's just how it affects us. But reading about how someone else deals with a situation allows you to find a different way of how you would respond. And that was very pertinent to me. And well, I suppose personal development, it is pertinent to you. It's what you've got from it. Because the books aren't just for business, they are for dealing with life. We've got adult grandchildren. And of course, you help them and try to help them move on with their lives quicker than maybe you moved on with yours. So often you can suggest things, sorry. Sorry.
Don't apologise. I know the feeling.
Sometimes you can suggest things that you didn't even know about at their age. And there's all the books that I've come across.
Compound effect, isn't it? Most of
Sorry?
us on here will have either read or listened to the Compound Effect. If you haven't, that's a really good book.
Well, you'll notice there
Think and Grow Rich.
I've got audio, and yeah, I've got that too. And not that I want to, The Secret was something I didn't like. Only because it didn't mention work. When I listened to it, I didn't hear this work. I actually spoke to someone in the business who loved The Secret and said she was putting it out there that she needed £3,000 a month. I said, that's fantastic. Now tell me, what's your path? How are you going to get there? Have you got a wee plan? No, I'm just putting it out there. Well, at that point, I thought, flipping heck.
Yeah, you've got to read it with the right level of intellect, I think. Or listen to it.
Yes, so I must have been, seriously, that I enjoy. You can see that by the type of cover it has on it now. I really did enjoy. I enjoy that book though. Your Life is Waiting. Some of that was great. Some of it wasn't. There's a Randy Gage one, Raymond. How to Build a Multi-Level Money Machine. Some of that was good, and some of it wasn't. So,
Randy Gage was a good regurgitator.
it's not what Dr. Dennis. Eh?
Saying
Sorry, Lynn.
regurgitate.
Randy Gage what?
Regurgitates.
All right, yes, he does. But the majority
Other
of
people's
modern
Yeah, but
authors,
it pretends it
Aye.
says.
but a lot of modern authors do take what's been said before and regurgitate. But I remember as well someone saying, my niece's son, my great nephew, I can't remember what it was he was talking about. He was talking about the Pogues. Can't remember how it came up. And I remember them from, and he looked at me, and then he said to his dad, is Auntie Jane telling the truth? Were the Pogues around then? He thought he had discovered them. So, you know, that's what the next generation does, and we did it to our parents. So it's not what you are that holds you back. It's what you think you are not. Abraham Lincoln goes back that long. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree. I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe.
But
In
that's
other
my
words,
favourite.
read the information, go through it carefully again and again and again. And then take action sometimes. Although don't procrastinate. Oops. Will you enjoy all of the books that you buy?
When you put books,
Come
just
on.
put in your mind, stroke, audible, stroke, you,
Aye, audio.
everybody who's listening, just in case
Uh-huh.
you're audible like me and Amanda.
So will you enjoy them all?
Oh no.
Well, you heard me saying about some of the photographs of the books I've got. No, I didn't like them. I started reading them and thought, no, it's not written in my language. It was maybe too American. I don't know. Will you read all of the books from cover to cover? Well, I didn't. Not all of the time, but I'd go back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and will you wonder, as I said to you, will you wonder if you've ever read the book before? I've got a bad habit of skimming.
Mm.
I want to get to the end of the chapter and I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, sometimes there's a lot of that in it. And that, my friends, is where we stop. But, ooh, I'm at 3 minutes to 9.
I was checking because I know how digital Jane is, and Jeff was checking the
Sorry
time.
about that, but
No, don't apologise.
I hope we all, it's important we all contribute. Really important. Jeff?
I don't know if you know it, but I'm a adult literacy coach. This is a
I
read
remember
easy book.
reading,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right.
that's right.
So I'm teaching an adult to read, and I'm part of the management team as well. And we're trying to get more people in Hull. And the guy who's leading us is a former teacher who goes back to his school and has a reading class. And one of the girls in his reading class came up with his memorable quote: "I love reading. It's like having a holiday in your head."
And it's right, isn't it?
And I think that, yes, some of the books we read aren't on the vacation that we wanted, but there are some that are, and we can see things in those books that we didn't understand before. They give us a new understanding of how to deal with either a situation that we're coming to or a situation that might come up, and we can think, oh yeah, in that book it said that. Let me give you a quick example. My team member, I won't name him, often phones me up and says, this thing's happened or that thing's happened. And I'm beginning to realize that they're happening for a reason, so that he can show his customers excellent customer service. Now, some of us are a bit older in the tooth than others. Do you remember when the Irish guy, Bill Cullen, came and spoke at the Clean Easy conference years ago? And he started off in the showroom washing the cars, and he learned all the cars. And the salesman would say, oh, I don't know. Oh, ask Bill if we've got such and such a car. And he moved up through the sales team. And whenever he sold a car, he's the guy who recommended you always have your picture on your business card.
Mm-hmm.
And he always sold a car, and he would leave a screw loose to a door handle or a window winder. Yeah, Nigel remembers it. And said, if you've got any problem, come back to me. And why was he doing that? To demonstrate excellent customer service. Because they would take the car back with a problem after 2 or 3 weeks when they discovered it was loose. He would get a screwdriver, he would fix it, and he said, yeah, the guys in the shop have done it. Said, there you are, enjoy your car. And when they wanted the car next time, they would go and see Bill because he gave them excellent customer service. So all the problems that our new people experience aren't trials and tribulations. They're lessons on how to give excellent product customer service. And things like that, we just learn, we pick up along the way. And that's what these books do for us. They teach us things that we may not use, but will be for our team. I'm sorry, Jane, that was 3 minutes. We've overrun. Bye.
Yeah. No, we haven't. It's bang on 9 o'clock.
You know,
But,
I just wanted to say though, because when we are putting things, positive messages into our groups, 90% of the time it's something that we have read or heard, or you know, we are all personally developed and we are a result of that personal development. Whether you listen like Nigel and Amanda, which I prefer to do, I like to listen, or whether you read, we are all a result of the personal development. And you can see that by everything, that the positive stuff that all of you put into the groups. That's all I wanted to say. I'm going to mute myself because it's hard not to talk.
well, no, I've just made you host. I thought you would just say
I
bye-bye.
need to-
Unless we've got a...
let you continue on if I pick somebody.
Does anyone want to add anything? You got a wee... Can I just say very quickly, I think it's important that we recognise everybody, because everybody here all has a busy life. They all make the effort to come on the Zooms. They all make the effort to do whatever they can with the business. Not everyone, and I know some of you are, not everyone is on the top whatever lists, but you know, it's not always you need the people on the top list,
Everybody.
but you need the foot soldiers as well. And without the foot soldiers, there's no army. And without the army, there's no Viva MK. So I would like to add that in, that we do get recognition, but often we strive to get recognition for something that we either don't have the time or we're not in that place to get that recognition. We don't, whatever. So well done, everybody. Thank you for joining all of us tonight. Thank you for your contribution, whether it was written, Kate, or spoken. I appreciate it. Please put the information in about the podcast. I would really appreciate that. As with Joanne, and we'll find out if Joanne's listening to them the next time she's on. I'm joking, Joanne.
You got your hand up, Amanda, or stretching. Stretching.
Raymond, I hope you get some more stuff to listen to, and it doesn't matter if you already know it, because as you say, it just reminds you, and sometimes it reminds us of the things that we're not doing or have forgotten to do because we've been in a while.
Yes, exactly.
And on that happy note, I shall say bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Jane. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Next Thursday, it's Michael's Zoom. That's the last. This is week 4. Forgot to say that before. I know you all know that.
Bye.
You'll just be shocked that I'm keeping up. I don't know how to get out of here. She said that she's host, but I can't see how I end it.
Then,
yeah. Maybe
very
I'll
quick.
stop the recording. I need to do that because then it saves me editing it.